Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Shmuley Show. I would say this is the inaugural edition, but the truth is I've been doing TV, radio as the Shmuley Show for 35 years. I hosted Shalom in the Home. That went by a different name, but I hosted the Shmuley Show on the Talk America Radio Network every single day for 3 hours a day in national syndication. With my flagship station being in Washington, D.C. I hosted WWRL, The Morning Show with Peter Noel, 4 hours a day. I was doing 7 hours of syndicated radio a day before podcasts and everything else. I'm an old guy, even though I look, 15, okay? That's because of how short I am, but it doesn't make a difference. Because now we're relaunching, babe, and I want you to watch every day. Let's get straight into it. Tucker Carlson said at the Turning Point USA conference in Tampa, Florida, that IDF soldiers like my brave sons, Yosef, Mendy, elite IDF combat soldiers, or my daughter, Chana, who runs kosher.sex. Check it out. She took my whole idea of kosher sex and made it into this incredible company. Should be stripped of their American citizenship because they served in the foreign military. Now, the evolution of Tucker Carlson is something I'm going to focus on for a moment. I used to do his show. Remember, he's a journeyman through media, which means he just changes his mind, whoever pays him the most. So he started off like, on MSNBC. No, he started at the Standard, which was a conservative publication run by William Crystal, and he was one of their writers. So back then he was ultra conservative, but mainstream Republican GOP conservative. Then he went to MSNBC and he became a liberal. Then he went back to CNN, did Crossfire, became a conservative again. Whoever paid him the most. I used to do his show. He was nice. He was normal. How did this guy become the second biggest anti-Semite in America? Because no one's going to overtake Candace Owens. Candace, because she's the first ever female black wizard, a grand wizard of the Klan. She hates black people as much as she hates Jewish people. She's a grotesque, reptilian anti-Semite. No one's going to overtake her. And Owens, because that's where she wants to send the Jews. Candace Owens, not Candace Owens. But how did Tucker Carlson evolve into the second biggest anti-Semite in America? And I'm going to address in a moment his stupidity, his ignorance about when he says that people who serve in a foreign military, who are allies of the United States and who are fighting for freedom, should be stripped of their American citizenship. How did it happen? I'll tell you, it's one word. It rhymes with hatar or latar or matar. Matar means rain in Hebrew. And maybe that rain is pouring down on Tucker. I have no evidence whatsoever that Tucker Carlson is an agent of Qatar being paid for by Qatar. But as he would say, I'm just asking questions. How does a guy overnight go from being a pro-Israel stalwart on Fox News constantly to becoming the second biggest anti-Semite in America? Ka-ching! Because I'm not broadcasting to you from the United States of America. I'm broadcasting to you from the United States of Qatar. Qatar owns this entire country. Even people I really look up to and respect. I love Pam Bondi, our Attorney General. God bless her. She's under fire now over this Epstein crap. I'll talk about that as well. But she was officially a registered agent under Farah for Qatar. Everyone I know, I fought Qatari influence in 2017. Look it up. Is Tucker Carlson being paid by Qatar? Now, you'd say he'd have to register under FARA, Foreign Agents Registration Act, which is barely enforced, so he wouldn't really have to because no one's going to come after him, or he'll just say that it was some kind of witch hunt. But Qatar can find a million ways to pay you. That's one explanation. I'm just asking questions. I'm just asking questions of whether or not you're a traitor, Tucker. I'm not saying you're a traitor. I'm just asking you the questions. What you say about Jews all the time. The way you said that everyone in Washington knows that Jeffrey Epstein was a Mossad agent. Everyone in Washington knows that Jeffrey Epstein was a Mossad agent. You see, Tucker Carlson has become such an anti-Semite that he trades in all the tropes. He's not even creative. He's just repeating. He copies. He really should be sued for plagiarism. He's just plagiarizing all the tropes against Jews that have been said throughout the ages, right? So he says that we Jews, we're into sex trafficking, prostitution, blackmailing people. We control everybody. So Jeffrey Epstein, the ultimate scumbag who no one in the Jewish community even knew, by the way. I didn't even know this guy existed. And if he was like doling out so much money, why wasn't he giving it to Jewish causes? Why didn't he give it to a synagogue? Why didn't he give it to a yeshiva? Why didn't he give it to Israel or the IDF? But you're sure everyone in Washington knows that he was a Mossad agent. Well, since you're so sure, why can't I say about you, Tucker, that everyone in the United States knows that you're a Qatari agent? Everyone knows. They're all talking about it. I'm not saying that because Tucker couldn't wait to sick his freaking lawyers on me if I were to say that. So I'm not saying it, Tucker. I'm just saying that your overnight transformation from being pro-Israel when you were on Fox being paid by Rupert Murdoch, one of the greatest friends Israel has ever had in its history, that we, the Jewish people, I love Rupert Murdoch. When he was paying you, you were pro-Israel. Suddenly, who's paying you now, Tucker? Who are your investors in your media company? Why won't you disclose it? You always speak about radical transparency. Who is bankrolling Tucker Carlson? You have massive investment for your show. That's how you were able to survive being fired like a dog by Fox. But let's get into what Tucker said about the IDF. So Tucker says that the IDF, whoever Americans like my sons, Menachem Mendel Mendy, my incredible son, who's fought in Gaza, who's fought in Lebanon. He's been in the war for almost 2 years now. My son Yosef, again, elite units. I'm not telling you which units they're in because my sons could be targeted, God forbid, for real harm. And we had that disgusting, vile Islamist who really should be sitting in jail, Muhammad Hijab. We call him Mojab. Anti-Semitism is never complete until you have a Mojab. You are never really enjoying anti-Semitism until you have your own personal Mojab. And Mojab gets a Mojab every single day. So Muhammad Hijab, who's probably the most followed Islamist in all of the world in the English language, actually put my soldier sons in caskets, God forbid, in body bags, and then said that Hamas should come and kill them. We reported him to the Metropolitan Police, New Scotland Yard in London. They don't give a frickin' damn. Jews in England are being persecuted, tormented every day. But no one gives a frickin' damn. I wonder if the community there is even going to survive. And I really care because I was a rabbi at Oxford for 11 years and 6 of my 9 children were born there. But I don't know if anybody cares. And then you have, so I have to be very careful with my children. So Tucker Carlson, who never served a day in the military, who is, this guy is now telling us that those who go and fight for freedom, who fight Hamas, who fight beheadings of Jewish babies and Muslim babies and Thai workers as they were all killed on October 7th. Tucker Carlson is telling us that those people like my sons who fight women having their breasts sliced off. How sick do you have to be as a Hamas terrorist to slice off a woman's breast and play like baseball with it and throw it to each other? That is a level of demented Satanism that even the Nazis probably never did. Not that I compare anything to the Holocaust, but I'm not sure that even the Nazis did that crap. Then, of course, Hamas was shooting women, raping them, and then shooting them in their genitals. The beheadings. Tucker Carlson says, these people aren't heroes. I'm a hero. I get paid $100 million. By Qatar? I don't know. Maybe. But I get paid $100 million to go on TV. And I'm the hero. But your sons should have themselves stripped of American citizenship. Listen, you ignoramus, you fool, you dummy, you who betrays his incompetence every day. And by the way, most anti-Semites are so ignorant. I've always learned that. Anti-Semites are never learned. They've never opened a book. They've only ever opened a book about conspiracy theories, i.e., that is, take a look at the debate that I did against Candace Ovens, who I wiped the floor with. I absolutely wiped the floor with her. She was reduced to literally having to use ChatGPT on air to debate me. You can't make this crap up. In the middle of the debate, I say to Piers Morgan, is that allowed? Can you take out a computer and start? Now I have frickin' ChatGPT, the sum total of all human knowledge aggregated into one chatbot debating me? What? But she really did that. Because Candace Ovens, the woman that wants to send all the Jews to the ovens, she's never read a book in her life. She's only ever read conspiracy crap. Okay, so Tucker Carlson, Mr. Carlson, who wants American citizens stripped of their citizenship if they serve in a foreign military. Let me give you an idea of, someone's got to help me here. Hold on a second. We did a little list. You know that Franklin Roosevelt wanted to supply Churchill. He was standing alone against the Nazis after the fall of France, summer of 1940, fall of Belgium, fall of Holland. France would eventually collaborate. Yes, France would collaborate with the Nazis and personally deport 80,000 Jews from Paris to Auschwitz. The French did that, not the Gestapo, not the SS. The French themselves did it. So FDR, being the hero that he wanted to get America involved in the war, at least supply them. But Americans were very isolationist. Who the hell wants to fight European wars? Till today, we're very isolationist. So a bunch of really, really incredible Americans who are heroes till this very day volunteered to join a foreign military, to join the RAF, to join the Royal Air Force against Hitler and the Luftwaffe and Hermann Goering, all things that I know, thank God, because I do read books, and not conspiracy books, real books, okay? They all joined and served in a foreign military, and they're remembered as some of the greatest heroes of American history till today. There's Billy Fisk, background, Olympic gold medalist in bobsledding, one of the most famous Americans in the RAF. An American gold medalist volunteered. Get this, he became the first American pilot killed in combat during the Second World War. He was flying under a foreign flag. He was flying for a foreign military in the Battle of Britain in 1940. Today, his legacy is that he's considered the very symbol of American volunteerism and valor prior to the attack of Pearl Harbor on the 7th of December 1941. Tucker, you want to take away his citizenship? Do it posthumously, Tucker. You coward. You frickin' coward who hides behind his dumb, maybe Qatari funded show every day and curses out Americans who are heroes. You frickin' coward. Tucker Carlson. That was Billy Fisk. Then you have Eugene Tobin, Vernon Keogh, Andrew Mamedoff, background. These men were part of what was called the Eagle Squadron. They were an IRF squadron. Remember, Americans who went and volunteered, put on the British uniform, volunteered for a foreign military. Tucker, traitors, not heroes, right? Carlson, correct? This was composed of American volunteer pilots. They flew missions all over Europe before the United States joined the war. Again, America only joined the war after the Japanese attacked us at Pearl Harbor. These squadrons would later be incorporated into the United States Army itself, into the U.S. Air Forces after 1942. Hey, Tucker, maybe we should frickin' strip the citizenship of not just these heroes, but everyone who was in the U.S. Air Force. It wasn't called the Air Force at the time. It was called the U.S. Army Air Corps. Air Force was created after the war. Did you know that, Carlson? No, of course you didn't know that. You never read a book in your frickin' life, you ignoramus. But why don't we strip every American who was in the Air Force of the time of their citizenship, because they brought all these American traitors who had flown under the flag of Britain in the Royal Air Force. They're all traitors, Carlson, aren't they, Tucker? Then you have Joseph P. Kennedy. I'm very close to Bobby Kennedy Jr. I love Bobby. Bobby's one of the great American heroes alive today, making all of us healthy again. Maha, make America healthy again. Of course, he was the elder brother of President John F. Kennedy. You know, he died tragically in 1944. He volunteered for one of the most dangerous missions. But the amazing thing about it is that while he never formally enlisted in the British military and served in the U.S. Navy, he was flying missions in support of Britain, a foreign country. Carlson, Tucker, rhymes with. Why does Tucker rhyme with? Should I say? I'm not going to use obscenities. He deserves it. But use your imagination. It starts with an F and it ends with Ucker. And that rhymes with Tucker. But I shouldn't laugh when I'm speaking about a great American hero like JFK, RFK's older brother, Joseph Kennedy Jr. He died in the top secret mission. It was called Operation Aphrodite. It involved piloting an explosive-laden aircraft that was intended to destroy German targets, and it blew up over the North Sea, and he didn't survive. And that's why the Kennedy family became what we call a Gold Star family, someone who sacrificed a son or a daughter for American liberty and American freedom. Well, Tucker, do you want to strip Joseph Kennedy Jr. belatedly, posthumously, of his American citizenship because he flew in support of the RAF for the British? Tucker, you coward. So you are pissing on the graves of American heroes. You are urinating on the graves of some of the greatest Americans that ever lived, whose feet you are not worthy of washing, whose toes you are not worthy of kissing, you anti-Semitic jerk. Your Jew hatred has been so... You know the worst thing would be about your anti-Semitism, Carlson? What if it's not even real? What if it's even bought? What if it doesn't even come of conviction? What if you don't really hate Jews, you just love, allegedly, Qatari money? Then what? Is that better or worse? I'd love for those of you who are watching live to tell me, is it better for Tucker rhymes with bleep to be a real anti-Semite and mean it and come after us Jews, and we'll fight back. We're going to take this guy down, in the media. in the most legal way. We're not a thug like him. Is it better for him to be a faker and he doesn't really mean it and he's just bought off by some kind of anti-Semitic interest, probably Qatar, allegedly? Or is it better for him to really mean it? I'd love to hear the truth from you. I'm not going to answer the question yet. We'll keep that for tomorrow if you want to ask me that again. So that's Tucker Carlson. I gave my two producers, Gabe and Johnny, the four subjects I wanted to talk about today. What was number 2? You guys should have it ready, baby. This is our inaugural show. You got to deal with some of the imperfections, man. And you know what? You know what I love about human imperfection? It means that all of us have to struggle to be better. I don't want to have a sanitized show where like everything is perfect and you don't know that I'm speaking from the heart, because I am speaking from the heart, baby. I am speaking from the heart. And not one of my producers even has a list that I wrote at 4 a.m. Yes, let's go to Superman for a second. So I've barely been to a movie this year. First of all, come on, we're living in the age of, they say the golden age of television, amazing series. You got to fork out $10 a month or whatever. By the way, doesn't like Netflix keep on going up? Like, is Netflix allowed? We start at $6. I think I'm paying them like $5,000 a month now. But Netflix just keeps on jack. Okay, but why go to a movie, especially after COVID? So I barely go to any movies. But I wanted to have a night out with my wife. And so why do I like movies? If I have my Apple Vision Pro, I get as big a screen, honestly, as I do at a movie theater, and I'm left alone. And I don't have to spend $30 on popcorn that's going to make me vomit the entire night and give me 20,000 calories and frickin' kill me. And then I have my friend Robert Kennedy Jr. call me and say, Shmuley, why are you eating that poison? So why do I go to a movie? For only one reason. See, whenever I watch something, I'm watching and posting and texting at the same time, and I could never fully immerse. But if you do it at a theater, everyone yells at you, so you can't do it. So I finally have 2 hours apiece. So I went to see Superman. And in the middle of the movie, I break the cardinal rule and I talk quietly, whispering to my wife. And I said, wait a second. This movie is really about the Israeli-Hamas war. I'm telling you. And my wife says, I don't know. I don't see it. I said, Debbie, you have these guys dressed exactly like IDF combat troops, Kevlar helmets, which we, thank God, helped supply, the bulletproof vests, against people who look like they live in Gaza and the place is torn up like Gaza. You have this little kid who's flying a little kid. And Superman's saying he doesn't want this military to invade and kill all these innocent people. I said, my gosh, this is Gaza. Now, a lot of people have commented on this. And when I got home, I saw that other people had spoken about it. I saw Ben Shapiro mentioned it. By the way, we're going to talk about Ben Shapiro, the man who gifted clandestine ovens to the world, the man who never took responsibility for making millions of dollars off anti-Semitism, a guy with a yarmulke who actually trafficked in anti-Semitism, not directly. He's a great patriot of the Jewish people. He loves Israel. I don't question that at all. He's an Orthodox Jew. But I'm sorry, Ben, you made money, millions off clandestine. From beginning, when you knew who she was, 2019, she began to praise Hitler. And she said that Hitler would have been fine if he had not gone, international, if he had just been a nationalist. Right, he would have been fine. So, in other words, as long as he stayed in German borders and didn't invade Poland, he would have been fine, or Holland, or France. So, what's it called? So, the Night of Broken Glass. Help me, Gabe. Kristallnacht would have been fine. The 1934 Nuremberg race laws would have been fine. Dachau concentration camp would have been fine. And Ben Shapiro tolerated all of that because he was making money. Now, if I'm wrong, Ben, you should donate that money to the widows of IDF heroes who died in this war. I told you that. You don't want to. But then again, there were rumors that you're going bankrupt, so I don't blame you. I hope you're not. But I hope you have enough money that you can give that. But I'm telling you now, Ben, you're never going to make it. There'll be no blessing for the money you made off of clandestine ovens. But Ben Shapiro, who gifted clandestine ovens to the world, never took responsibility for it, never publicly criticized it, never, not once. They say he's embroiled in some legal thing. Well, I'm being sued by the Fountain Blue for defending myself against an anti-Semite, and I'm not afraid of them, but he seems to be afraid of anyone who may sue him. That's courage for you, huh? We're even, IDF soldiers are having to deal with Hamas, Hezbollah. What is the worst that we Israel fighters here in America or fighters against anti-Semitism have to face? Well, possible execution, but the main thing is being sued. I'm being sued right now. And you can't even do that, Ben? You're afraid even of that? But I digress. I heard that Ben Shapiro also said that Superman was a metaphor. Here he's probably right. I saw that and that's what I thought. I thought, Superman. Now we got Superman running around in his underwear, in really tight underwear. It's almost like they didn't really update the whole costume. He's still wearing Hanes. The guy is wearing red Fruit of the Loom. No one would wear that stuff these days. No one wears these tidy whities, or in this case the tidy reddies, that hug your that hug your junk like that. No. That's not comfortable. It's not pleasant. Superman, babe, you are retro. But you used to fight for truth, justice, and the American way, and now you're fighting for like Hamas. I mean, come on. and the irony, of course, is that every idea we Jews have is always stolen and ripped off by someone else, and we never protect our ideas. So Superman was invented by 2 Jews. Now he's a Hamas fighter, and I have to say, it's a good movie. I got to tell you. And as Hamas propaganda, it's probably an excellent movie. Because we don't have one Jew in Hollywood, not one besides Gal Gadot, who would ever say anything positive about Israel, because we Jews are sheep. And the more famous the Jew is, the bigger the sheep he or she is. That's the tragedy. And there's no bigger, at times, traitors to the Jewish people than Jewish idiots, useful idiots, as Lenin would call them, in Hollywood. Manti Patinkin, huge self-hating Jew, he's always been. He was good in Homeland. He sucks at life, though. Isn't that a tragedy? When you're like great on TV, but you have no moral compass in real life? Like when they put him in Homeland, he kind of liked, in Homeland, he like fought terrorists, but in real life, he wants to support Hamas. Okay, I love that. Why'd you do the show, Mandy? Why'd you do the show showing that like CIA and all of these things are actually moral, when in truth you don't believe in them and hate the IDF and hate the Mossad, et cetera, et cetera? Ka-ching! It's amazing how, you see, I'm retro. I'm 58 years old. It's amazing how I have to go all the way back to ABBA, who you guys barely heard. You guys think ABBA means father. ABBA was the best group ever. They won Eurovision. Swedes, babe. Money, money, money in a rich man's world. Tucker Carlson in a rich man's world. It's all about money. So Mandy Patinkin, and then we have, what's her name? Natalie Portman. Natalie Portman actually was criticizing Netanyahu and rejected the Genesis Prize a few years ago. She was born in Jerusalem. You do realize, Natalie, that you never would have been born at all. You would have been killed by a terrorist, so not for the IDF. So go ahead, criticize. But the point is, we can't get one movie that supports Israel. The last movie that positively portrayed Israel was starring a non-Jewish lover of Israel who died a few years ago, who may have been the most handsome man that ever lived, with the exception of yours truly. And his name was Paul Newman. And the movie was called Exodus. And movie was made like in 1367. You have to go back like 700 years to find one positive movie about Israel. But now even Superman is a Hamas operative. Is that, and again, I go back to, ka-ching! Is Qatar funding the new Superman? By the way, who made Superman? Was it, which studio? Because I really want to know if Qatar might, like, did they need those visuals that looked exactly like the IDF invading Gaza? I mean, honestly?
DC Studios.
Okay, DC Studios. And those were 2 Jewish guys who invented Superman. What was their name? Siegel, I think, is one. What are their names? 2 Jewish guys. Look, every idea that we Jews have, and that's why we're the most inventive and influential nation that ever lived, thank God, which is why there's so much jealousy. Look, we gave the world the one God, but today he goes by the name of Jesus or Allah. And in Judaism, its best principles were taken by our daughter religions, which is a good thing, as long as they don't turn it back on us and begin to hate us for it, the way the Crusades did, or the way the Islamists do. Islamists, not Muslims. Muslims are my brothers. I love Islam. Islam is a great world religion, and I have a million times expressed my admiration and my gratitude as a Jew to the Muslims who took us in from Catholic Spain. The Catholics hated us back then. 1492, Ferdinand and Isabella of Castile and Aragon, the worst, most disgusting anti-Semites. It was the Muslims who took us in the Ottoman Empire. But it's Islamists who corrupt Islam, who just use Islam as feigned piety to mask their political ambition of a genocide, a second Holocaust against the Jewish people. But we gave the world God. Today, God's called Jesus or Allah. We gave the world Shabbos. Today, it's called Sunday. The idea of it was unknown, the idea that a worker could take a day off. Are you kidding? These people were freaking serfs. They were servants. They were nothing. We gave the world the 10 Commandments. Today, it's called, morality. We gave the world democracy, the idea that every person is created equal in the image of God. But again, it's not called Genesis chapter 1. It's called democracy. So all of our best ideas. So now even one of our best ideas, Superman running around in his old tidy whities. And honestly, look, I happen to be a heterosexual male who has an openly gay brother. And indeed, this is not a cliche, many of my dearest, most loving friends are gay and always have been. And I hate homophobia as much as I hate anything on earth. And I've long said, everyone says, well, the Bible says that homosexuality is an abomination. I always say, but the Bible also says that eating lobster is an abomination. But I see a lot of people eating lobster not being treated with lobster phobia. But I digress. I'm a heterosexual man, so I don't know if I'd be drawn to Superman, even if he wore, like, I don't know, Under Armour these days. But God Almighty, get rid of that Fruit of the Loom stuff, man, and get rid of the pro-Hamas stance. Okay, Superman? Glad you're listening. Thank you very much. And you were created by Jews. You don't exist, Superman. 2 Jews thought you up. So going over to Hamas, give me a break. What was the third subject, guys?
The third subject is the Iran strikes in Israel.
Yeah, look, I gotta tell you, if Trump isn't the hero of all heroes for what he decided to do with Iran, I'm amazed at that news cycle. Here in America, a news cycle used to be a month. Then it became a week. Then it became a day. Then it became like 5 minutes. Do you guys realize what Trump did? He promised he wouldn't put American troops on the ground. No one got hurt, except hopefully a bunch of IRGC, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, who are the terrorists of all terrorists, who Trump bombed. But do you understand that Trump took out Fordo, which Israel could not take out Fordo. Israel could take out Esfahan, where my father was born, which was a nuclear thing. But Israel didn't have the 30,000-pound bunker buster bombs, and Israel didn't have the means to deliver it. We didn't have B-2 bombers. Trump did the most amazing thing, and the fact that his own base is now turning on him over Jeffrey Epstein. Why are all of you so obsessed with Jeffrey Epstein? He was a pig. He was vile. He was disgusting. He was a sicko. Take down the people who we know were around him. Maybe there were others. Fine, I get it. But like obsessed with some sicko? I'm obsessed with stopping Iran. I'm obsessed with Iran stopping to get a nuclear bomb so they could bring it in a suitcase here in New York City and detonate it, God forbid, or in Tel Aviv. That's what I'm obsessed with. You guys are obsessed with Jeffrey Epstein. Realize what Trump did? He promised he wouldn't put American troops on the ground. No one got hurt, except hopefully a bunch of IRGC, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, who are the terrorists of all terrorists, who Trump bombed. But do you understand that Trump took out Fordo, which Israel could not take out Fordo. Israel could take out Esfahan, where my father was born, which was a nuclear thing. But Israel didn't have the 30,000-pound bunker buster bombs, and Israel didn't have the means to deliver it. We didn't have B-2 bombers. Trump did the most amazing thing, and the fact that his own base is now turning on him over Jeffrey Epstein. Why are all of you so obsessed with Jeffrey Epstein? He was a pig. He was vile. He was disgusting. He was a sicko. Take down the people who we know were around him. Maybe there were others. Fine, I get it. But like obsessed with some sicko? I'm obsessed with stopping Iran. I'm obsessed with Iran stopping to get a nuclear bomb so they could bring it in a suitcase here in New York City and detonate it, God forbid, or in Tel Aviv. That's what I'm obsessed with. You guys are obsessed with Jeffrey Epstein, having sex with 16-year-olds. They're turning on Trump over that. Are you guys freaking nuts? You get a president that finally takes down Iran, who Jimmy Carter gave to us as a gift with the Khomeini revolution, that even Reagan didn't strike back. Iran killed 253 Marines in 1983, blew them to bits. And you know what? Even Reagan, he hightailed it out of Beirut and let Iran grow from there. And no president has attacked them for 45 years until Donald Trump. And you guys are talking about Jeffrey Epstein? Okay, there's Iran. What's the next one? Okay, and here's the final thing of the day. And we're going to try to keep our shows to about a half an hour, even though I know you guys probably want to stop eating, stop caring for your children, ignore, neglect your spouses, quit your jobs and just listen to me 24/7. I don't blame you. If I were me, I would want the same thing. I know that the magnetism of my voice, the compelling electricity of my ideas, the frickin' magnetism of my charisma, which is drawing you in you probably feel this is like an electro super magnet from which you cannot tear yourselves away. I get that. But more is less, baby. More is less. That's right, more is less. And less is more. So we're going to make these shows 30 minutes. There has been a tendency in the Jewish community worldwide and our mostly Christian evangelical allies and some of the other moral people who may not have titles, but who defend Israel and hate anti-Semitism. There's been this tendency that we should always be on the defensive. We call it hasbara, explaining yourself. Hasbara, how do you explain yourself to others? Israel is guilty of genocide. No, we're not guilty of genocide. Then you're on the defensive. Why did we Jews agree to be fraudulently, falsely put into the defendant's chair where we're always on the defensive? The time has come for the Jews to attack, always attack. When it comes to PR, when it comes to hasbara, get rid of the word hasbara. I hate the word hasbara. I hate the word explanation. I have to explain myself. Is there any other minority? Is there any other majority? Do white people have to explain themselves why they exist? Do my black brothers and sisters? And by the way, there was an amazing article in the New York Times the other day saying we have to get rid of the word African American. That was largely not coined, but mainstreamed by Jesse Jackson. Guys, do we have an issue with that? What? Okay, I hope we don't have an issue. Okay, anyway. Why do we... And by the way, I wanted to ask Gabe that. So Gabe is Jewish African American. Do you like the New York Times published this thing that I'm beginning to see, because white people can't say it. It's the black community has to decide. What do you prefer, black American or African American?
Black American.
Yeah, well, that's what it was saying. Anyway, it was mostly Jesse Jackson, but that's a decision for... But my black brothers and sisters, even my Muslim brothers and sisters, do you guys have to explain why you exist? Do you need hasbara? We Jews, we have to get rid of the word hasbara. Attack, always attack. I'm going to attack Tucker Carlson, who's an anti-Semite. I'm going to attack Clandis ovens. You come after me, you want to send me to the ovens? You think I'm going to explain why I shouldn't go to the frickin' ovens? Jews, by the way, it's a myth that Jews walked into gas chambers. It wasn't like this is the new fighting Jew is a lion who will fight the way the Jews of the Nazi period did fight. The Jews of the Nazi period, of course, fought. They did everything they could to fight. But they had no guns, they had no nothing. And their children were hostages. When the Nazis come to you and say to you, get on the frickin' train, and we're going to give you work, and it won't be a great life, but you'll have food, you'll have 1,000 calories every day, and we're taking you to the interior, you'll be resettled, you'll have a shelter in the snow, and your children won't die. Yeah, then they're holding your children hostages. That's why they couldn't fight back. But we now know where that ends. It ends in being gassed and turned into a pile of ash. So we are going to fight, just like President Trump said when they tried to kill him. Fight. No more hasbara, man. The way we take down anti-Semitism is aggressively, proactively, and that's what you're going to hear on this freaking show every single day. See you tomorrow, and God bless you. I hope you guys enjoyed the Shmuley show. Of course you did. I hope you, of course you did. We have to say goodbye to our friends on Instagram.